All right, yesterday, Pfizer announced that it was entering the second phase of its clinical trials for children ages 5 through 11 years old to get the shot for the coronavirus. And officials with the pharmaceutical company said they aim to ask the FDA for emergency use authorization of its COVID-19 drug to vaccinate children in that age bracket in September or October. Now, the announcement comes days after Dr. Anthony Fauci said on CNN that he was cautiously optimistic that children younger than 12 will be eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine by Thanksgiving. Here's a clip of what he's had to say, clip 5.
We are now doing studies that are ongoing as we're speaking, studies that are looking at what we call age de-escalation, children from 12 to 9 and then 9 to 6. And then 6 to 2, and then 6 months to 2 years. We hope that as we approach the end of this calendar year, we'll have enough information to vaccinate children of any age. So I'm cautiously optimistic we might be there by the end of the year.
Now, of course, remember, we use these terms vaccination, but it's like a flu shot. You get a shot. It doesn't have lasting implications, or lasting effect in terms of a preventative. Now, giving this shot to children younger, possibly as early as September, is now forcing many people to answer the question, who should decide whether the COVID-19 shot should be required for children to attend public schools? This now is a decision that someone is going to make. Well, yesterday, the Trafalgar Group released the results of a national poll that asked American voters their opinion on that question. Joining me now to talk about the results is Robert Cahaly. Robert, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Hey, great to be back on the show.
Okay, so this now is no longer a theoretical question, but a very real question as Pfizer's moving forward for approval, emergency approval for this shot for younger children. No doubt that there are some very aggressive school districts that are going to want to demand this, but you have a survey that, quite frankly, is overwhelming in terms of what voters think on this topic.
Absolutely, it is. And, I think what this survey represents is a combination of two things. One, there is a growing movement about, what's best for our schools, what's best for our state is local. But then this movement toward empowering parents. So with something like this that's so debatable, everybody just kind of moved to the err on the side of parents, except for that very few who have, the state that the federal government's there to protect them. They're probably a small percentage that feel that way. But, we found fascinating that even as we broke down by party, Democrats were 49% parents, Republicans were 82% parents make the decision, and 59% was non-party. And coming in second in most of these states was the federal government, so the Democrats and the Republicans, and the state government came in a distant second among the non-partisans. But the percent that wanted the government to have any control, the Fed was overall. Nationally, we saw a 15%, and the state and local combined were roughly 16%. So it was a very small, and noteworthy is also the small no opinion. Issue surveys like this, we don't get no opinion at 4.7 very often.
Yeah.
That's very strong. People feel very strongly about this.
Yeah, this is an issue that people are passionate about. And I just want to go over those numbers again. This is the overall number, 64%. Of Americans polled on this said that parents should be the ones making the decision. 15.3% the federal government, 8.2% local school boards, 7.8% state governments, and as you pointed out, 4.7% have no opinion. Those people were asleep, I guess, when you called them. Everybody's got an opinion on this. But let's talk about the partisan divide. Is there a partisan divide here?
There really isn't. And this is, I think, what we've pointed out in our last few series of polls, whether it's the changing opinion on Israel, where the Republicans and the nonpartisans and independents still support Israel first, and where the Democrats have moved more to an anti-Israel position, That's an example of the leadership of the Democrat Party being out of step with their members. Same thing on this and same thing on Fauci. Average Democrats in the field, average people are out of step with what their party thinks. They're still about empowering parents. So the Democrat electorate is a mixed bag of opinions that their leadership is not close to capturing.
That could eventually catch up to them, I would think, in elections.
Certainly could. I mean, after we put out the one about the average Democrats not thinking Israel was at fault in the recent conflict in Gaza, we had, within 2 days, President Biden addressing the Democrat Party and their position on Israel when talking to the South Korean Prime Minister. So I think they recognize that's a problem, and that there's certainly an issue, and these polls are helping to demonstrate what the public really is.
I'm not quite sure the Democrats can help themselves on some of these issues. Robert Cahaly, so good to talk with you. Thanks so much. Very revealing poll. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, sir.